Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Growth Sessions with me, Cody. So stoked you tuned in. So these last couple months, I've been having some pretty interesting stuff going on with me internally. You know, when you have a spiritual awakening, and it's also very similar to recovery, because everyone who's seen my show or follows me on Instagram is aware that I'm also in recovery. Have a little over 7 years. What? You know, at the beginning of both of those things, at least for me, it's true. You are on something that's called a pink cloud, right? Like a pink cloud is basically where you're high on life. Like you have tapped into something new that you didn't know about before, and all your worries kind of dissipate. Everything inside of you that was worried or felt anxious or felt like life was a struggle kind of just dissipates, and you feel light and you're just like floating around. Like I said, your whole world kind of opens up for you, you know? And when I was first in recovery, mine lasted about 9 months. I was in 9 months of just, I was in a rough spot, and, I didn't have a job. I had just gone through a divorce, like all of these types of things. But yet I was still feeling so good because I finally realized that I could stay, off of drugs and alcohol. So I was really excited, like nothing could really touch me. And after that 9 months was up, you start getting back in the routine of everyday life, start getting a job, start doing all these things. And it's just not quite the same. Like you're still connected and things still seem really great, but it's just not the same. And the same thing kind of happened with me in my spiritual awakening. So what ended up happening is this past February, I had my spiritual awakening. And up until about a couple months ago, like nothing could touch me. Oh my God, I tapped into something, felt the universe talking through me, called to nature, all of these amazing things. I had all these amazing accounts. Like I'm really big on, on Instagram for my spirituality. I follow a lot of amazing people who I look for guidance, and they help me along the way, right? But what ended up happening is you start realizing, at least I started realizing, that in a lot of ways, the spiritual community is just as polarizing and sided as the non-spiritual community. You start tapping in and start seeing things that you don't agree with. And you can't understand how somebody who's spiritual can believe the polar opposite of what you do, because you're tapped into something. You feel like yours is right. How could they think this way? The reason I had a spiritual awakening is because of the way they thought, and it made me not want to think that way or be around it. So it led to an awakening for me. And so when I started having that happening, it was actually a really kind of a downer. It was a real kind of a moment of like, damn, like even though I had an awakening, the shit that was bothering me before is still prevalent in the spiritual community. For me, it's if I saw accounts, I've been seeing a lot of accounts in the spiritual community about, QAnon and COVID deniers, and, the types of things that are, all lives matter, the things that for me are not a part of who I am. I do not agree with those things. And once I saw people who are devoutly spiritual, who are following a lot of the same people I do, and a lot of people I follow were following them, and it just starts becoming this like clusterfuck of like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. It's just, there's basically like a spectrum, right? And I'm not saying one side is less or more. It's just it's completely different sides. And I'll see people on this side, and I'm all the way over here, and I can't quite figure out how the fuck they got there, or how could they be there if they're spiritual, because my experience is so different, right? So it didn't make me question my spirituality, because what I've realized is that my spirituality is such a core part of who I am now. What it did make me think is it got me kind of depressed, and it got me in my own head, and it got me wondering, well, if this experience for me showed me these truths, how is it showing these quote unquote truths to somebody else? How is it showing them this path when it is a path that to me makes no sense? I don't understand it. Like I said, I had an awakening because I was so down about the way that was happening. So I was shocked that I saw people in the spiritual community. I was very naive, right? I was very, very naive. A lot of these accounts too are white people like myself, and it troubles me, the privilege I see, and entitlement, and screaming oppression. It's been something that's been really, really hard for me, and it's made me very frustrated. I get in the head, I get in the mind, I get in the ego, and I feel threatened, and I feel upset, and I feel, how could they? How can they think they're spiritual when, it's just, anyways, you get in all of those ego trips, and it really kind of dropped me down a peg, right? It dropped me down in realizing that there's still this, what I view as kind of seediness and shadiness and lack of love, and, looking for equality for all people and compassion. And, I want to fight, and I do fight for marginalized, communities. And that's a big part of my podcast. That's why we started the podcast, We Are the Stigma, was give a voice to the voiceless and talk about people who were shunned in society for things where they were just trying to express themselves. So what I've had to do is kind of really kind of take myself out of the equation of the right versus wrong, which is not like I would ever, for me, think, go in that other direction, which I've talked about, but really start redoubling down on myself, right? I can't change them. I can't do anything about that. That's their prerogative. That's their spirituality. And I'm not going to go and do random comments and do all these types of things. It's not going to change a single person, right? So what can I do? I can double down on what's for me, what I feel like my purpose is, what I'm supposed to be speaking about. And I want to be the message so that people who feel the same way as I do have, a sense of community. And it's not like I'm the only one. Trust me, there are millions upon millions of people who have the same structural ideas of me as me, and the same, belief in, Black Lives Matter, and, wear a mask and that type of stuff. So it's not like I'm unique in this, but what I realize is that for me, this is my truth, right? This is where I've prayed, I've meditated, I've had an open mind, and I know what sits right in my soul, and I know what sits right for me. And so what I'm doing is I'm redoubling down on the people who first helped me and helped me find myself, helped me find the spiritual aspect of myself. And, one of the things that I've found really important is to keep an open mind. I find that so many people who are in the spiritual community, at least it seems to me, there's no real reasoning with a lot of them, because they think that they're living on another plane. They're on another level of consciousness. They're, it's like this class system inside of the spiritual community. And, for me, that's just not how it works. That's not how it is for me. That's not how I feel it in my soul. I feel it in my bones. It's not like that. It's, for me, it's about love, and it's about, fighting for the marginalized, and being able to change your views if somebody presents you with something that can sway you, instead of being closed-minded. It's something that I really try to do. And now I'm not trying to say I'm open-minded to the point where I can be swayed everywhere. Of course, I have I research, I look into it, and I have convictions and things that I know are true, but I also know that I need to be able to be open to other people. Like, I don't have this shit down right? Like, I don't know everything. My spirituality showed me a way, but that doesn't mean everything I choose is right. And so what that's shown me is that I need to be open and malleable, and listen, and do my spirituality my way, and share my message, and hope it helps people, hope it resonates with people, because my message is much different than a lot of, and like I'll say it again, the white spiritual community. Not all of them, trust me, there are a lot of white spiritual community people too who are, all about the things that I'm about. So this is a no way just like this generalization. But where I see most of the things that I personally take issue with has been in the white spiritual community. And just to go back on it too, it's been mind-blowing, enough to where I got into my own head about it, where it made me question, not my spirituality, but just like, damn, like, why is it so mucky up in the spiritual community? Why is it like this? This is what I tried to get away from. But that's not, I don't need to surround myself with that. I need to tap back into the spirituality with the truth of what was shown to me, the message that I feel like I'm supposed to share. Double down on that shit, right? That's where I come in. That's where my message, I want it to resonate, if it resonates with anybody, is, equality and sticking up for the people who can't stick up for themselves, who have been shit on by our society, showing love and compassion to all people and not just a select few, and letting my views get in the way of ever having an open mind. It's just something I've been thinking about it a lot. It's been something that's kind of knocked me down a peg. I don't know if I said that already, but it did. But now I can feel myself lifting back up, like it's not gonna keep me down. I think it's part of what was inevitably gonna happen. I wasn't expecting it. I had no idea. So it came as a shock, but I'm just gonna keep doing me. I'm gonna keep putting my message out. I'm going to keep trying to spread a message of love for everybody, for people who are the most affected by our society, and try to spread a message of hope and be an ally, and help, and not be so quick to anger and thinking my point of view has to be the only way, because I'm just going to do me. And would spread my message and hope it resonates with people, like I said. So I wanted to get that off my chest. Let anybody who's has gone through a spiritual awakening or a personal transformation, that there are bumps in the road. There are times when you go back in your old patterns and you start questioning, what was this all about? But stick true to you. Know what's right in your heart. What speaks to you, what calls to you. To me, the message of spirituality is love and compassion, and there's just a lot of people that I see are just, their love and compassion is very one-sided, and I see a lot of hate inside of the message, and I want no part of that. That's not what I'm here for. So I hope you guys enjoyed this message. Keep pushing forward. Do your message. Feel it internally. Do what works for you, and just remember that. Not to sound cheesy, but love is where it's at, right? Love is where it's at for all people. And I hope you all have a great week. Be sure to share, subscribe, like this video, and I will see you next Sunday. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Kwanzaa, all that good stuff. And I will see you in a couple weeks, like I said. Bye.